So, this is going to be my straight out of the theater reaction for Andaaz 2. And I don't have words for it. This movie was so strange. It was so unconventional, but not in a good way. Okay, so to sum it up, let's start with the overview. Okay, what this movie is all about. So basically, there's this lead character, and he's into music. He's very passionate about music, along with his two friends Hassan and Tony. And these guys usually have gigs in places where they are not paid well enough, and then they're trying to make it big into the whole music circle. But suddenly, this girl comes into the lead character's life, and then the entire trajectory of the story changes into a romantic story. And then suddenly, this guy is presented with some challenges, some romantic challenges as well as some career oriented challenges. And that's what the basic conflict of the story is. And that's what the movie is all about. We need to figure out, we need to actually watch the movie to see if the lead character comes out of the situation or not. So that's the basic premise. Okay, pretty straightforward and very good on paper. But friends, when you watch this movie, and I'm afraid to say this, man, I want to defend every movie from, because movie making is a difficult art form. But this movie didn't just stick the landing. No, it didn't at all. This movie felt like a compilation of ads, and what I mean by that, I'll explain it in a moment. Is the scenes in the movie, it doesn't seem organic. It seems like it's forced upon you. So basically, the movie was apparently it was written by the screenplay, story, direction, and everything was, even the dialogues was done by Sunil Darshan. And this felt like it was a one man's vision, and it reminded me of Jani Dushman. Why did it remind me of Jani Dushman? Is because that movie was also, that was also a one man army show kind of thing. So when one person is involved in the project entirely, it should be a good thing ideally, but somehow it doesn't stick the landing. I mean, I don't have words to explain for this movie, man. I made notes while watching the movie, but there was nothing much to write about. So, the dialogues that the interactions that the father and the son in this movie have, and this is going to be a completely spoiler free review, so don't worry about the spoilers. I'm not going to spoil any scene, not that it would make much difference, but still. What I was saying was the conversation between the dad and the son. It seemed very unnatural. It seemed like why would a father demean the child in front of some people, in front of some guests. Okay, let's say guests. Why would he do so? And that too in a demeaning manner. Like it's very comical, it's very elevated in its pitch. So that didn't resonate with me enough. And man, the romantics, the whole subplot, or maybe it's the main plot, but the whole plot of the romance between the lead pair was off. It didn't make sense, because they met for the first time and they fell in love. Okay, the chemistry between these two characters, the boy and the girl, the lead characters, I didn't feel the chemistry between them. I felt something was off. And it's not about their acting. Okay, so the whole point is, which brings me to my next point, which is the direction part of it. I think the direction of this movie was completely how do I say it? It was completely non-generic. That's the best I could say. So what I mean by that is, the direction, at times it felt like a good movie, and at times it felt like a bad movie. So the reason why the scenes where where the romance was shown didn't quite land was because of the direction. That's what I felt. Because there were times when the actors were acting good. Okay, the actors had the capability to act out good, but they were not given the proper lines, and the lines were too cheesy, man. The dialogues were too cheesy, too campy. So for me at least, this is all my personal opinion, right? And so I felt okay, maybe this is the pitch of the movie. I was coming to terms with that, but then they presented you with this entire shift in the story where something happens which leads to an emotional moment. And man, I was surprised if I'm even watching the same movie or not, because the emotional scenes were so good. It was good. It was unlike any other sequence in the movie. It was shot good. It was directed well enough, and the acting was also good. But the very next shot after the emotional scene, it's again the same old the cliche and cheesy stuff that's been happening in the entire movie. So at times I felt like I'm watching two completely different movie, and I felt that the director was consciously trying to mess with us. He was, I mean, come on. If I'm sitting over here and somebody comes in and sits in the co-driver's seat, I would definitely see them, right? I would notice them from my peripheral vision. But what happens in the movie is, if a person is sitting next to you or standing next to you, until and unless the camera moves or pans towards that person, the character doesn't notice them at all. So that's just, I mean, suspension of disbelief only work to a certain point, right? And with the pitch of this movie, I was not sure what the pitch of this movie is even about. So that was the most confusing thing. But I think on paper, this movie sounded good, because if you just extract the trajectory and the character arc of the lead character, his aspirations, his challenges, and how he overcomes those challenges, and how he turns into a different person from point A to point B, like that's a very, that in writing, again, okay, I'm not saying anything about the movie, but in writing, on paper, the character arc is really good, but somehow it didn't get translated well enough into the movie. The question is, should you be watching this movie in the theaters? I no, I won't sugarcoat. I don't think you should watch it in the theaters. I think maybe you can watch it on streaming, but at times it felt like an incomplete movie. It felt rushed, because a lot of scenes, it was very apparent that a lot of scenes required polishing, or at least a second draft of editing, or some iteration. It felt like it's just the first draft of the movie, or the first cut of the movie that was just released for the audiences. I mean, if I go into the technical aspects of it, the audio levels were off, and the whole the ADR, the entire movie, I felt was dubbed. I It was messed up. It was not, I feel it was not a finished product. On paper, it's a good movie, but I don't think, I didn't like it. No, I didn't like Andaaz 2. The title song was also not up to the mark. I think it had a lot of work to be done. I feel there has to be something going on behind the scenes, because this movie felt rushed. So yeah. So Andaaz 2, no, I don't think you should watch it in the theaters. You can like get away with it. You can focus on different things, on some other things. But yeah, that's it. That's all for the review. I'll see you in the next one with a new movie.